Osborne and Eli continue to roll on.
Marv's got his swag back.
And Dunge fades to the back. All this and more coming up on the Moto Aftermath Show.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Indianapolis is in the books.
Yeah, you were there last night.
I was.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Moto Aftermath Show here.
Travis, he's kind of sleepy.
I am. I didn't get home until like 3 o'clock this morning. Driving to Indianapolis and back in one day from where we live. It's about a 4-hour drive each way. That was an awful decision.
Yeah, it can be a pain in the ass. Luckily, though, it wasn't a blizzard like it was a couple years ago.
Yes, no, and I couldn't afford a hotel, so, you know, whatever. Hashtag broke kid problems. Anyway, all right. Let's get into this racing stuff. Let's talk about the track.
I thought it was good. I mean, short lap times. It was technical for sure. A lot of different variation. Not a lot of passing like we talked to, but just who was going to do what consistently each lap. But I think that they need to utilize the transitions a lot more because that did play a part into some of the racing throughout the night.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting track. It was not your typical Indy track, and I know we've talked about this. It didn't break down like Indy usually does. Now, what was different, you might ask? The monster trucks were there last weekend. So the dirt has been loaded into the stadium for the whole week. It's been packed in by the trucks. They reworked it, obviously, for motocross. Maybe brought some more in. But it's been in there thawing out, getting warm all week.
Yep.
As opposed to in years past, the monster trucks weren't there. They're bringing in dirt from outside. Well, we're in the north. It's cold.
Yeah.
It's freezing.
And aside from rain, we haven't gotten our typical winter as we normally do either. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely think that made for better racing. The whoops were deep and lipped out. That was gnarly. So, I know probably a lot of people will complain about the track, especially with the, you know, the 48, 49-second lap times and stuff. But all in all, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, last year was good.
No, it wasn't bad.
But let's be honest, aside from Roczen and Dungey last year, the track sucked.
Yeah.
If that battle didn't happen, the track was terrible.
Well, and let's be realistic about the track. The track was a set of railroad tracks last night. There wasn't anything where it was like, oh, if you went like through this corner here, it was, you know, better than this or whatever. There wasn't any of that. So, you know, it was interesting. I'll tell you, the TV coverage did not do it justice. Those whoops were gigantic. Absolutely. The first practice, the actual practice they do, not qualifying, Tomac did not skim through that entire set of whoops once.
No.
He literally would get about halfway through and then just back it down and slowly start to taper off until he eventually was just doing this through them. And that finish line jump, gnarly.
Yeah, they'll never do that again.
Huge gnarly.
They'll never do that
again. It was literally just a lofter. It was straight up, straight down. The landing was straight up, straight. If you came up short, like there was no give to that, you were done.
Yeah,
Game over.
Like I said, I can guarantee they never do that again. You can't have that much of a booter right out of a left-handed 90 where the main line is to stay tight through the corner. And like I told you before we went on, I'm really surprised for a lot of the privateers, the guys that checked up in mid-pack. We didn't have a situation where guys got landed on. So I think they'll go back, and I think it looked good in their mind. I thought, you know, thinking it cool going across the start and stuff. But I highly doubt with 5 rounds to go they do something like that again because they honestly, they got lucky. There should have been a lot worse stuff happening over that because when I got there, that was the first section I sat in, was right down by it, and I was like, wow. Like the 450s weren't awful. They were your typical brah, and they were over it. But with the 250s, you could tell they were having to really clutch and gas the shit out of them to get over that out of the corner. Even taking the outside line, you could hear them wind out more just to float it. And there were guys that came up short-ish. Yeah. That it was like, oh, it's close. But, yeah, it was gnarly. It was a gnarly finish line, so. Yeah, I don't think they do it again. I don't. Probably not. No. So. Okay, let's jump into 250s now. Let's talk some racing here other than the track. Let's get right in. Let's start early in the day. Let's start with the AC Osborne incident in qualifying. Oh, well, honestly, it's funny because there's not really much to talk about, but just the fact that it happened in practice between two guys that, let's be honest, are kind of docile guys, don't really get like, oh, hey, I'm going to get in your face, bro, or, you know, I'm going to run it in on you. I mean, I know what happened. Most people probably know what happened, but you were there. I mean, did you originally see what happened? Because I heard before AC took him wide, Zacho took him wide in that left-handed 90 around the first rhythm section, and that caused AC to take him wide.
I didn't see any of it other than AC going over the berm.
Okay, so then...
I was sitting at the far end of that rhythm section at that point, by the where they crossed over the whole stadium there with that double, triple, double section. So yeah, I didn't see any of it other than I watched AC go over the berm and went, oh, that's not good.
Well, then let's just put it into play. AC runs Zacho wide in the right-hander before the middle rhythm section. No big deal. He kind of just, he doesn't hit him. He just runs him a little bit wide. You know, he was arcing the corner. And then the left-hander after the whoop section, Zacho just straight punts him. You know.
He did.
It shouldn't happen. It's practice. I mean, come on. The guys are, they're above that, especially those two guys, you know, guys that are really professional, especially AC of all people.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good kid, you know, well-spoken. It happens more than people realize, especially in practice. If you don't go to the races, you don't get to see it during the day. But it shouldn't have happened. I think that Zacho said he's sorry, but AC hit him first. He shouldn't have retaliated that hard. I mean, AC shouldn't have hit him to begin with, but let's be honest. He tapped him. Zacho ran it in on him.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, he hit him hard. I mean, if you're going to hit somebody hard enough to bow their leg in, like, I don't know. My take on it is it's part of racing. Well, it's practice. But I don't think Zacho should have hit him that hard. It was one thing if he would have taken him over the berm. Like, dude, take somebody over the berm. No big deal. Like, AC goes flying in the berm, whatever. But, like, if you're going to run it in and straight T-bone, like, because he did. That's what he did. He T-boned him.
He did, yeah.
That's kind of unnecessary. I don't know what you think, but I don't think it should have happened.
I don't know. It's one of those things that I mean, where do you go with it? I mean, you go back to Cooper Webb last year, flipping off, what's his name?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Who was the kid?
He was a privateer, I think.
No, it was 66 for Pro Circuit.
Oh, Chris Aldridge.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you go back. Yeah. You go back to that, like Webb flipping off Aldridge and stuff in practice. I mean, why? Yeah. It's just practice, man. Like,
and what happens if Zacho? Now, once again, it happens. But what happens if Zacho would have blown out AC's knee?
Oh yeah, then that becomes a huge thing. And then what do you get? You get AC comes out next year or whenever they get in 450s together and has this grudge and then blows him off the track. I mean,
because let's be honest, AC's not thick-wise, but he's a lot bigger than Zacho is now. He's bigger than Zacho is now, so he can put that bike a little bit more places that Zacho can't. It's not that big of a story because luckily AC didn't get hurt. He went through the main. I just looked at it as when I saw it, and he grabbed his leg. I'm thinking, dude, he just blew his knee out. Like, straight up. Because his leg was lifted when he hit him. It wasn't planted in the peg. I'm thinking, dude, that's AC's. It's over with. Like, the season's done now.
There you go again.
And that also puts into play that if that would have happened, now there's a lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda. John Gallagher could have looked at Zacho and be like, that was malicious intent. You're done for the season. He could have just disqualified him for the rest of the season for some stupid stuff.
Never would happen. The AMA is not that consistent, let's face it.
No, but my point is, though, is if you get that happen and John Gallagher looks at it as, oh, hey, that was a little bit overboard and he does take him out, we have a whole different set of circumstances that happen. So I know it's a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda, but I just think that never should have happened, and that's plain and simple. And do I think that there's problems going forward? I do. I believe there's problems going forward from here on out.
I think AC runs him high somewhere at some point here, but...
Because he's out of the championship now.
Oh, yeah.
He's out of the championship. What is it? Like, he's like 18 points back now from that 5th or something?
Yeah.
Something like that. 15, 16, whatever. Either way, he's out of the championship at this point. It's coming down to Joey and Zach.
Unless he blows him off the track. And then it's him and Savatgy.
And that's going to lead to my point. Do you think that if they get in a situation where... Say Savatgy, whichever, it doesn't matter, you can roll reverse it. Say Savatgy gets the start, Zacho's in the middle, and AC's behind him. Do you see an issue from here? Do you see one of them just be like, hey, bro, like, you're racing my dude for the championship, my teammate, we are friends, you just took me wide, blew my championship out, do I take you out?
I don't think he does it for Savatgy, but I think personal-wise, yes, he does it.
So you could see that actually happening.
Oh, yeah.
If there's a situation like that, those three dudes are freight trading, like, does AC take them out?
Oh, yeah. No, oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you from experience. Like, even coming from a local standpoint, if I'm racing someone and they take me wide, and this happened to me last year, and luckily I don't know who the kid was. It was a kid in C-Class, 5th place in a C-Class local race.
Yep.
And I was being lapped because I'm slow. Okay? That's fine. I'm slow. I get it. No problem. He takes me wide, basically runs me off the track, revs at me. Are you kidding me? Seriously? And, like, if I knew who the kid was and I saw him, I would run him off the track. I really would. I would literally do everything I could to get in his way and run him off the track. Because why are you doing, like, it's the stupidest thing. Why are you doing it in practice? Why are you doing that to a slow guy in a local race?
At all? Like, yeah, why?
Yeah, like, I wasn't in his way. You know, I mean,
and that's the thing that
I get it, but it's stupid, and yeah, but yeah, as far as do I see retaliation coming? Oh yeah,
and honestly, say we get to Vegas and it doesn't look like it just because how good Zacho's been, but say Joey gets another win and Zacho gets second or has something, and it comes down to 2 points in Vegas, and everyone knows how crazy Vegas is, especially how shitty the track is. Knowing Mitch. That's not beneath Mitch to do something like that. Hey, AC, you know, you get a chance, bump him a little bit, or just tee his ass up. Now, I'm not saying that Mitch Payton, one of the greatest ambassadors of the sport, will say, hey, directly go hurt this guy. But let's be honest, if there's a championship on the line, especially for Pro Circuit, which has been how many years now since they've won one?
And he'll be like, get in their way.
And then you start talking about the East-West thing, you know, when Hill's in there, when it's like, I'm just saying, folks, it may not be a big situation now, but it could develop to one, and I just don't want to see somebody get hurt.
And it wouldn't even be a situation necessarily, I don't think, of him saying, hey, go out and take this dude out. But could I see him going, don't move over for him, don't make any room for him. If you
run
have,
him off the track,
if you have the chance to run him high because you're faster than him, do it.
Or if you're slower than him and you just know how to ride a wide bike.
I would do it. I would tell him to do that.
My point is that it could be a bigger issue, not now, but it could be with a couple rounds to go. It could be an issue eventually. Because let's face it, if one of those guys gets a start and Zacho comes through and Savacci's in front of AC and Zacho's got to go through AC, AC's like, hey, bro, sorry. Like, my bad.
Yep. So that's what we see going forward. Other than that, there wasn't a lot that happened in the 250 class last night.
Jordan got a podium, which was good.
Jordan Smith looked good all night. What's his face? Alex Martin went for a wild ride there.
And then gets out on the belt.
Yeah, but there was something in that corner because you had Alex Martin did that. Was it Dunge almost did it too?
Yep.
Or Marv, one of the two.
A couple people got
and Sealy almost did the same thing in that same corner. So there must have been a little rut there that like if you caught it just right coming out of those whoops when you quadded out of them, like that almost happened. So other than that, like we talked about before with the track last night, it was a railroad track. Everybody followed everybody else through everything. There wasn't really any separation really anywhere. So so it wasn't really that exciting of a 250 race other than watching Zach and Savacci race. And Zach, of course, you know, again, the only place Zach caught Savacci all night was in the whoops. And he knew that, Savacci knew that, so Savacci started running that inside line, and Zach finally got to the point he was like, I'm going through you or I'm going down. Take your pick, and you know, he moved him out of the way. Now that incident, I have no problem with that.
No, that's
whatsoever.
racing.
That was racing.
That's just annoying to the leader.
Yeah, and that was a, well, I'm going to get in there. And he showed him a wheel like 2 laps before in that same corner.
Yep.
And sitting there with whoever I was with, I was like, you know what, that is where he'll make his move. So, and that's what he did. He, you know, he got to the inside. He had a wheel and a half on him, stuck it into him a little bit. I didn't think it was malicious. I didn't think it was violent. I didn't think it was any of that crap. It was a racing move. He got inside, moved Savacci out of his way, and took off. And, you know, realistically, they were the same speed. Savacci paced him, he paced Savacci. So,
and like we talked about last night when we were texting back and forth, I honestly believe that if Zacho doesn't get aggressive with him and bump him off of his line, Joey wins it. Because Zacho would catch him in certain spots, Joey would pull back away, and you were just going to just have the back and forth chess match. But that goes to another thing that Zacho right now, especially going back to Daytona, he's not making a lot of friends right now. And you don't. It's part of winning a championship. But once again, if you get a bad start, you want guys, if, oh, hey, dude, this guy didn't run me wide coming through the pack, like, hey, I'll move over for him. Everybody knows. Zacho might not be doing himself favors if he gets in a situation where he does get a bad start finally, which he hasn't. So, you know, that's a lot of coulda, woulda, shoulda. But if you start pissing people off and guys don't want to move over for you, that could be the deciding factor if he wins this championship or not. Now, we got a long way to go still. Long way to go. But he could. And I just don't think he's making him a lot of friends. It happens, but I see this developing thing with his attitude now that he's finally winning.
I mean, let me pose this question to you. Do you want friends or do you want that #1 plate on your wall?
I want the #1 plate, but
bingo.
But
that's
see,
it. That's
but,
it.
no,
no,
but,
no, that's
no,
it. No, there's no,
no
but. There's no but.
No,
it's what do you want? It's what do you want? What do you want?
There is a but. There is a but.
See, you can be Aaron Plessinger, 7 deuce deuce, whatever. Do you have #1 plates on your wall? No. Or you can have a #1 plate. Now, if I'm out there racing, help.
Oh God.
This is a number 4 plate that I'm pissed about. I want a number 1 plate, okay?
See,
now, do I care if I have friends at the races? Hell no.
No, I'm not saying that.
I want that number 1 plate on my wall.
But do you want to take a chance of looking over your shoulder every time you leave the door open on the inside of a corner? Because I don't want to bring up this name, but because I've seen him for a long time and it happened in the 125 days, James Stewart, perfect example. That dude, he made no friends in the 125 days. He'd blow past people, but there was a lot of times where if he left the door open even 2 inches, if there was a guy that didn't like him, he was going to get taken out.
I'm pretty sure he made more money than 99% of those guys.
He did.
And
He did.
Number 1
but Zacho hasn't won anything. Zacho hasn't won anything, though.
Not yet. Not yet, but we're working on it.
No, I agree. You want to win the championship. You don't want to make friends. You don't have to have friends. You can have your tight-knit group. My just point is that you can win championships without pissing off the whole entire group.
Yeah, you can, but yeah.
So, it's something to look forward to. Don't think it's going to happen, but hey, you know what? All I'm saying is if somebody does take him out, I'm just going to say, hey, bro, you did it to yourself.
It happens. So, that's our thoughts on the 250 class. Okay, so let's move on 450s now.
We got a points race.
We got
folks.
a points race of brewing here, boys.
It's 12.
For all you Dungey super fans, comment below. I want to know how worried you are now.
Yeah. It's just a dirt bike race. There's more important things.
You want to know who says that?
People who are getting their ass handed to them.
Losers say that. So anywho, all right. This week, let's start the top down. Let's start with talking about Eli. Eli starts on point. On point. Yep. He rocketed out of that gate in his heat race. I mean, he had 2 bike links on him by the first corner.
Yeah, pretty much the whole entire night. I mean, you know, heat racing, let's see, aside from Atlanta, that's like almost a month and 1 week. So 5 races worth where he's gotten a top 5 start every round.
Oh yeah, well
Atlanta was the only one where he didn't.
I've heard on Pulp Show, and even in other places I've read it this week, they've talked about his average start is better than Dungey's.
It's better than
over
Dungey.
the last like 5 races.
Yeah, they said he's like a 2.9 and Dungey. No, he's a 2.8 and Dungey's 2.9 or something.
Yeah,
something like that.
It's amazing how different it is.
It's amazing when your bike's working like it's supposed to for your style.
So yeah, but other than that, Eli, clicking off wins.
Gone.
Like I said, if he wins next weekend, all the even if Dungey gets second, so he gains another 3 points, we're down to 9 then. And like I said before, and I'll say it again, if that happens, all of a sudden, boom, Dungey's falling apart. We saw it yesterday.
I think he's falling. I think honestly, he's falling apart right now. Like his comments, and his comments in the press conference. People didn't know he was saying some stuff, kind of, you know, being a little bit of a sore sport or a sour sport. I think he's done. Like, I think he's, honestly, I don't even think, now I won't disagree with you because he's done it in the past, but I think he's so far mentally gone at this point, I don't even think he's, like, testing. He's at the point where he just knows that, like, hey, man, unless I get lucky and Tomac crashes, I'm losing this championship. Because, dude, that's the most psychologically defeated I've ever seen. It's just a dirt bike race. Grand scheme of thing it is, folks. But Dungey's been the professionalism personified for years.
Yes.
And people that are losing and watching their championship slip away, those are the things that they say. Mm-hmm. No, because he could have just got up there, hey, I want to thank my sponsors, you know, we just didn't have it tonight, and this and that. No, like, really? You're just going to come out of left field? Like, and even on the message boards blew up last night, so I checked to just see if the internet exploded, and people were saying the same thing. Even Dungey fanatics, they were like, really? Like, did he just say that? Mm-hmm. And I think it even caught... who's the new chick they got? Vinci or whatever. Or who was ever interviewing him on the podium?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Whatever. She just kind of like, really? Like, just like, do we cut? Like, what happened?
Should we stop the cameras?
But I don't mean to go into a tangent. I want to get your view, but I think I already know. Like, since we're expanding on this thing, which I guess we can go right into the Dungey thing, because I mean, there's not much else to say about Tomac.
No,
like, he just dominated.
He's dominated, plain and simple.
People keep. And some people's opinions that don't really matter, some people's that do. People keep talking about with Tomac, well, in 3 races, folks, he's gained 15 points on Ryan Dungey.
Oh, yeah.
When's the last time that's happened? And going back to when he started this closing the gap, it was 29 points. Villopoto and Stewart in the times didn't even do that to Ryan Dungey when Ryan Dungey had a lead, and I don't think they could. So we're still watching something that's unprecedented. But people keep talking about, oh, Dungey keeps, he's not feeling it, this and that. The track just doesn't, it doesn't lead towards him needing to push. He's still got the points lead. It's only 12. He'll kick it into gear, this and that. And Tomac is just waiting to crash. I want to get your thoughts. When are people going to realize that this is not Ryan Dungey's championship anymore? Like, every time somebody wins a championship for the first time, which Eli Tomac has not won a 450 championship, won 250 championships, you're doing something for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand why people, if they're just naive or they just don't want to admit that Ryan Dungey is not Ryan Dungey anymore and Tomac is better, when are they going to realize that, dude, this championship is not Ryan Dungey's? It hasn't been since Phoenix.
Nope.
Like, I know that there's really nothing to say on that, but I just want to get your take on it. I know we have the same views on it, but, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you read the message boards like I do.
Oh,
You and other people you talk about.
Well, and I agree with you. It's Tomac's still in the place of he has to win.
He's got nothing.
He's got nothing. Like, if he goes down and breaks both arms, well, he was trying.
Like you said, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, he's still in that realm until he gets within 5 points. With, if he can close the gap to, say, 5 points with 4 races to go, then he gets to the point of, okay, even if he loses a race to Dunge, finishes behind him, make sure you only finish 1 spot behind him, and make sure you keep it off the ground. But at this point, we're still in double digits. He still is. Go out and win, or don't come back.
Yep.
That's it. Plain and simple. That's it. Now, the other thing I want to ask your opinion on, which we haven't talked about at all, so this will be a shocker to you, is we're now 11 rounds into the season, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We've got outdoors coming up fast here, a little over a month. Actually probably about 2 now.
May 22nd.
Yeah, so about 2 months-ish here. We still haven't heard Ryan Dungey signed a contract for 2018. Mm-hmm. Do you think that plays into this at all?
You mean on his mental, I guess expand a little bit.
Yeah, okay. So we've obviously seen he's having mental mistakes. He crashed hard in practice yesterday.
And he didn't even pass Brayton in the semi.
He didn't pass Brayton in the semi. Chad Reed and him have a battle in the heat race in which Chad gets him and he has to go to the semi. Bad starts. Mm-hmm. Marv gets him last night.
Second time now.
Is this to the point that he's so caught up in, well, I'm not doing well, shit, what should I do? Should I, I haven't signed a contract for next year, should I even come back? Like, is that stuff in his mind enough now that that's part of the problem here? Because he's not sure whether he should race again or not.
I think he's at the point that he realizes that the normal program, because guys, and bringing even Ken Roczen, which we don't know is going to happen with him for the rest of his career, but even up until Kenny crashed, and now the reemergence of Eli, the guy that we all knew that he could be, Marv, asserting dominance, Baggett getting better, Anderson still being Anderson and having a good race when he can. I think Dungey's finally realizing that the program that has gotten to him his career, his whole entire life, and he's not old, once again, we got to remember, he's only 26, folks, so it's not like he's old. I think that it's realizing that it's not good enough anymore. Like, it's not good enough. And I think that he wants to look at it. He wants to have a family. He's married. He's at the end of his contract, and because the contract,
millions of dollars in the bank.
Yeah, contract coming from Suzuki, like everybody knew, like his last year before he even really signed it, that he was going to go to KTM. Mm-hmm. Well, now the contract was up and they didn't know. So, like, that played a part because he's like, oh, I'm just going to smooth transition from Suzuki to KTM. Like, no, bro, your contract is up and you got nothing signed. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I think he's just mentally defeated on every level possible. Like, every level possible, whether it be, the contractual things about, signing, kind of like with RV, the open houses, the gear signings, the constant grind at the Baker factory, the motos, being away from his wife, possibly having a kid, just everything you could think of, the broad spectrum of things. I think it's gotten to the point that it's too much for him to overcome anymore, which is crazy because aside from Carmichael, I think Ryan Dungey's the most mentally strong guy we've ever, even stronger than Villopoto and Stewart. Mentally strong guy. I think he finally realizes that his program is not good enough anymore, which is crazy to say that.
Well, and to that point too, what does he have to win anymore? He's done it. He's done back-to-back 450 Supercross championships. Mm-hmm. He's done multiple outdoor titles. He's got 250s. He's won MX Nations. That's the one thing he doesn't have.
He's got to win, but the last couple times he went, he got his ass handed to him.
So, okay, so he hasn't won MX of Nations. At the end of the day, we're at where we're at right now. Okay, and let's throw another one out there as long as we're doing one-off races. He hasn't won a Monster Energy Cup either.
No.
So those are the 2 races he hasn't done. But at the end of the day, does he just go, fuck it, I don't care about those 2? Like, in the grand scheme, does it matter? I'm a multi-time champion in the U.S., like, considered one of the best riders ever. I think he is, too. I don't think he comes back next year.
I think he slowly fades and becomes a KTM brand ambassador. Like,
he's at the point of his life, he just wants to have a family. That's what he wants. Okay, cool, fine. Dude, go do it. Have fun.
Yeah, and I mean, he doesn't owe anybody at Explanation. Like you just said, he's one of the greatest riders of all time. Top 5 or some people, top 3. He's done everything. You know, like you said, he's got a beautiful wife, going to have kids, billions of dollars in the bank. Like, he doesn't have anything left to prove, but I guess I just never would have thought in a million years that Ryan Dungey... You know, Carmichael went out on top. He won his last year. You know, Villopoto, you could say he went out on top. Like, the MXGP experience didn't go well. Don't want to even talk about the Stewart thing. Reed still keeps trying. I just had to add it in there if we're talking about the top. There's nowhere to go there. There's nowhere to
be like he's not going to be like a James Stewart and just fade into oblivion and everybody's going to be like, "Oh, is he coming back? He's coming back."
Yeah, no,
he'll make it. Ryan Dungey will make an announcement, hey, I'm done.
But that's my point, though. I guess I just never would have thought in a million years that Ryan Dungey's career would have ended with him just completely getting his ass handed to him. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't see it happening. I mean, it kind of goes into my point on my tangent that Dungey has always, you know, we've always put asterisks next to some of his championships because he didn't always have the fastest guy or he won in his spots, but then he podium. I mean, we coined the phrase podium people to death because of Ryan Dungey. So he hasn't always been the fastest guy. But he's at least gotten a majority of the wins throughout the season, even sometimes dating back to, not Supercross, but outdoors, the Villopoto days. I just never would have thought that I would have seen a Ryan Dungey blow a 29-point lead to nobody.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't care if you're Ryan Villopoto. I'm sorry. The Ryan Villopoto that won 4 straight championships wouldn't have made up 29 points on a Ryan Dungey.
Ricky Carmichael wouldn't have done that if they had a race together.
No, Carmichael literally would have had to win and won and like hoped everybody like finished in between. Like it doesn't happen. You're not going to do that against Ryan Dungey. So I guess I just look at it that way that I guess I just never would have thought that this would have happened like on his way out. Like if he wants to retire, great. I think it was coming probably more than a year ago. I think it was coming more than before he even broke his back at Thunder Valley. But I guess that just leads into if he blows this championship, which is looking like it's going to happen, does that affect his overall career when people look back? Because, I mean, dude, you blow a 29-point gap, and you're at the beginning, your biggest rival isn't even there.
Couldn't be any worse than James Stewart's last year's. I mean, let's look.
Well, James Stewart was never in the run for a championship, though.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, like, look at how bad his last year was. At least Ryan Dungey, even if things go completely sideways here, he gets, what, second, third, again?
I guess my point is that I know where you're coming from, and I agree. I guess I just look at it as with James, it was different because James all his championships that he's ever won has been because he's been faster than everybody. It's not because he's been more consistent. So I guess that's just where I'm looking at the front is you're looking at Ryan Dungey, who's got a 29-point gap and the most consistent guy in history, and he blows it. With James Stewart, he won everything because he would go out and win by 35 seconds, and then the next weekend he would get 5th, but you knew he was going to go on a win streak. Dungey has never been a guy to go on a win streak other than 2 years ago, but he was always going to be on the box. I guess I just look at it that way is that do you think with some people, and important people, not just yahoos like us, look at his career and say, that affects you in the all-time. Now, sometimes it doesn't matter to people, but it matters to riders where they look at the grand scheme of things, especially as somebody successful as Dungey. I think that some people think that looks back on his career and maybe, I don't know, I don't think he gets in the conversation of one of the greatest of all time if he does that. Because Ryan Villopoto sure as hell didn't blow a 29-point gap his last year.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta look at the wins, the podium streaks. I mean, all that stuff he had. Like that's what you factor into like how good they were overall for their whole career. Not did he blow a 29-point lead?
People look at Villopoto's GP experience and say that that's going to affect his career.
I guess I don't know.
It's not a big deal.
It'll be interesting to see, but
my point is that I guess when you're just talking about the greatest, Carmichael, Dunge, Villopoto, McGrath, Stewart, Chad Reed, I don't think those guys blow a 29-point lead to anybody.
I don't think so either. So, I don't know. It's not important. It's an interesting thought though for sure. Like that's a big lead to blow.
What do you think? I mean,
it's not over yet. He still could win it, but
in your eyes, and I know you and me aren't the most Ryan Dungey fans, but in your eyes, does it in your opinion affect? I know he won everything, but do you look at him a little bit different compared to if he would have just gone out and got second but won a majority of the races?
No.
Really?
No, yeah, I don't look down on him anymore. I still look at him as a great dirt bike rider who won a ton of races. I mean, what is he, like third all time on the wins list or something stupid like that?
Yeah, now because he passed Villapoto because Villapoto was no, he's fourth still.
Okay,
because
so he's still in the top 5 of wins. I mean, the guy podium streaked. I mean, he's got too much going for him. Even someone like me who doesn't care for him that much. Not that he's a bad dude. I just don't care for him. Period. For some reason, I don't look at him like that. I mean, he's gonna rank higher, and people are gonna hate me when I say this, and even I hate myself. He's gonna rank higher more than likely when everything's all said and done than Tomac. Maybe Roczen, depending upon how he comes back from this injury. You know, I mean, you're looking at guys who are roughly in that same age group as him, and you know, not too many years behind, and they don't have near the wins, the podiums, anything, or the championships, for that matter. So, I mean, as much as I like Roczen and Tomac, and those are my dudes, you know, Dungey's still always going to be higher on the list as far as I'm concerned. So, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. It'll be interesting to see going forward if we hear of a contract thing or anything, but I don't think we will.
No, I think that honestly, I think at the Vegas press conference, he comes out with a press release that after outdoors, he's done.
Yeah. So, and that's pretty much what we got for 450s. There wasn't a lot else that happened.
Oh, we can talk about Marv. We didn't really talk about Marv. I mean, it's not a big deal, but...
Marv did well. He came through I mean, there's not a lot to talk about. Marv did well. He came through the pack there. Started like, what, 4th or 5th. Made a couple passes and ended up getting Dunge. So he's back in it. And again, if he does that next weekend in Detroit, you have the same thing. Eli, Marv, Dunge. All of a sudden, we have a 7-point gap.
I think that happens for basically the rest of the series, to be honest with you.
It could. And I think there's enough other guys that could show speed that they could get in between them too. And if you have someone else get in between them, all of a sudden that gap is really small and we're really have a points race then. So, I mean, that's basically, that's all I got. Like I said, it was a railroad. It was a freight train all night. Like I literally at one point looked after Eli got the lead before Marv passed Dunge, and literally you could follow the train from Tomac back around the track of the guy all on the same line, right in a row. Like there wasn't a lot of passing racing in my opinion, just the way the track was designed. So. Okay, so let's get into our last segment here after we're done talking about our picks. Then you can ask me those 2 questions you got for me, okay? So we're getting into Rocky Mountain Fantasy here.
I'm killing it after last night.
I got 57 points. I did pretty well.
I got 85.
What a dickhead. Anywho, so yeah, so it went all right. I mean, I didn't have Dunge being quite that high. I had him in 5th place after practice, so...
Which, I mean, how I practiced when it kind of looked like that's where it was going to go.
Yeah. You know, I didn't get the wild card right. I think I had Brock Tickle. Who finished 9th? Do you remember?
Shoot, I don't even know.
I don't remember either. Did you get it right?
No.
Nope.
I had Wilson.
Yeah, like I said, I had Tickle.
Oh, was it Millsaps? I think it was Millsaps.
It might have been Millsaps.
Okay, anyway.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Anywho, so other than that, I got a couple of guys that were in the top 5.
Still tired.
Still tired. That road trip killed me. But anyway, okay, so let's move forward here. Going into Detroit here. Is it safe to say we can put Marv back in the top 5 consistently?
Oh, yeah. For sure.
All right, cool. Because I had him in there, and then like he was sick the last couple weeks, really screwed me over on some points. So I think I'll start. Don't worry, I got this.
It's cool. I mean, I've gone the last couple weekends, so he does get to go first.
I'll start this. So basically, I continue on with my trend here. Tomac wins. Marv 2nd, and I think I put Dunge 3rd, just because even if he doesn't get 3rd, chances are high he does end up in the top 5 most of the time anyway. I don't know if I see him finishing outside the top 5, even as bad as he's doing. So I'd still get at least 5 points for him. Now once you get outside of that, you pick outside the top 3. I mean, you got Anderson, Seeley, Reed, Baggett. I mean, all of them, but none of them can be consistent week in and week out. You know, Anderson finished, what, 8th or 7th or something last night? Yeah, he got lapped. Unbelievable. You know, I think Baggett's a safe pick to put in the top 5, so maybe I put Baggett in a solid 4th, and if he gets on the box, well, good for him. I'm not going to cry about it. At least I get 5 points, whatever. And then I think, honestly, I put Seeley in. Because those are my safe 5 picks at this point. You've got Eli up top, Marv second, Dunge third, Baggett fourth, Sealy fifth. Cut dry, easy.
Yep.
Wild card this week, 11th. Who do you put in 11th?
Yeah, like we've talked about, you can basically put a bunch of dudes in the hat and pick one out. And
Yeah,
hope that
8th or 15th can all get anywhere in there. You know, just picking a name out of a hat. I'll do this. Sprinkle. Malcolm Stewart.
Okay. I mean, why not?
He's right in that realm.
I don't really probably know that there's too many people that even gotten the wild card right a lot of the times this year just because they've been so all over the place.
You can guess it.
But, you know, continuing your trend, I'm going to have to, I'm going to pick Eli. Marv's got his swag back. He knows he can track down Dunge for the second race this year. Dunge in third. You know, basically those are the 3 guys. I mean, you can pick Dungey for second, but I don't think so. I think Marv. And I'm on the same thing with Baggett and Cole, but I think I'm going to have to reverse it, and I think you'll probably be surprised that because I've been like a big advocate for Baggett to be on the box like 3 weeks in a row right now.
Oh, yeah.
And his starts have been great. But the thing that concerns me with Blake right now is, and I have him in 5th, which means I have Cole in 4th, the fact that his inability to sprint early in the mains, and it showed last night. He led for like, what, 2.5 laps?
Something like that.
Eli and Dunge got around him. His inability to sprint at the beginning of the mains, I just think that if he gets an outside the top 5 start, that he's not going to be able to go forward until the end of the main, which hasn't happened yet other than Daytona. He's gotten good starts, but I think that's a problem with him. Like, he's always been a strong guy at the late in the races, but I think his inability not to sprint. So I'll have Cole in 4th and Baggett in 5th. As for the wild card, honestly, Malcolm's a good pick. I was thinking about Dino. I'll probably have to say Justin Brayton. You know, he rode good in the semi, held Dunge off the whole entire time, but with Brayton, you never know. He could get a start and get a 5th, or he could get a shit start and end up 18th.
Yep.
So I think 11th is probably where he's going to get. So Tomac, Marv, Dunge, Cole, Baggett, and then Brayton in the wild card. But
okay, let's hear these questions you got for me.
They're insignificant. They mean nothing, but it's just more stuff to think about. First one. Round 12 runs in. We got 5 to go. In your opinion, if you see it happening, which once again, these questions I don't see happening, but it's just stuff to think about getting towards the end of the season. We've had maybe only about 2 really surprises guys that get in the top 5 that nobody thought was going to happen. Tickle, I'd say, was definitely a surprise in 3rd, and then Dino in 5th.
Yep.
Some people would say Baggett finally pulling his head out of his ass and doing good in Supercross would be a shock, but not really. Reed even. Most people are Reed fans, so I don't think that'd be a big surprise. But in your opinion, if there's going to be a guy that hasn't finished in the top 5 yet with the next 5 rounds, and you could even pick Brock and Dino to do it again, who do you think is going to be that guy? But I'll say for the sake, somebody who hasn't done it yet.
Okay. Somebody finished in the top 5 who hasn't done it yet. 2 people.
Okay.
Justin Bogle.
Okay.
He's got mad speed. Hasn't put it all together yet. He's kind of on the same thing that Baggett was, where it was like at some point, all the effort, all of the talent is going to catch up to the results. So I have him. Other person I have, Malcolm Stewart.
Okay.
Malcolm Stewart has the speed to do it. Now, what he has lacked is fitness because he's very Stewart-esque. He came into the season unprepared, okay, which I'll give you, okay, well, you know, he didn't know what he was doing, blah, blah, blah. You knew you were going to go fucking race, dude. Get in shape for it. Plain and simple. You can't tell me you didn't have a fucking dirt bike you could ride. Bullshit.
He did.
Anyway, so Malcolm Stewart and Justin Bogle, and like I said, and Malcolm's got the outright speed to do it. Like, he's got that Stewart speed. He is fast. If you watch him through the whoops sometimes, the only person that I can see on the track that goes faster than him through the whoops, especially when it's the skimming part, not when it gets late in the race and you have to jump through it, is Chad Reed. Is the only person faster in the whoops. But those are the 2 that I think at some point, the skills and all the work is going to catch up to the results, and they're going to get in the top 5.
You know, I could agree with both of those. Once again, we're talking about something that probably will never happen. Probably won't with 5 rounds to go, but just add more, flavor. You're probably going to laugh at me for thinking this, but honestly, how well he did at Daytona in the heat races and then just actually pushing through in the mains last night, just on speed alone, because crazy shit can happen, especially in Vegas, I think I'd have to put Barcia. The reason why I say, listen, he wins the heat race at Daytona, more outdoors, but honestly, you and me both know we did not see that coming.
No.
And in the main last night, he got a shit start. I think it was like 17th or 18th for like the first 3 laps or something. And he pushed all the way inside the top 10. I mean, the old Barcia, up till this point, didn't do that. He just rode around, was trying to take people out. I just think that if he gets a start, and now maybe that could be because guys just don't care anymore. You know, you get to Vegas, whatever. But I just feel take out Detroit and St. Louis because they're normal tracks. But the next 4 with Seattle and Salt Lake, who knows, they could be a mutter. East Rutherford, we don't know how cold it's going to be, so the dirt could be concrete because of how hard the ground is. And then Vegas, I just see that I think Barcia is going to have one of those rides that's going to make you look back and be like, really? Like, that's the one, like, that's the old Barcia that we can hang our hat on.
I guess. I'm not going to argue it because
I don't see it happening.
Wilder things happen, but it could.
I mean, I could see Bogle before Barcia, but I guess because I could see Barcia before Malcolm, because Barcia's in better shape than Malcolm is right now, which is crazy to say considering Malcolm has been doing since round 3.
Yeah,
So my last question. Okay. Once again, this is complete hyperbole. We don't think this is going to happen, but take out Dunge, Tomac, and Marv. Out of the guys, which obviously aside from Kenny, those are the only 3 dudes that won a race. And I don't see it happening because Tomac is just on it right now. But say somebody pulls a rabbit out of their ass and something crazy happens or everybody stacks up in the first turn. Who could you see at an outside shot, possibly, this is like 1%, getting a win? Once again, we don't see this because Tomac is just on rails right now, but just say something crazy happens.
Okay, well, in the 1%,
yeah,
I give it to Anderson or Seeley. Those are the only 2 dudes I could see in that 1% winning. Yes, because Anderson's done it before, Seeley's done it before. I think Seeley's in a really good spot to do it, where if he got a start out front, like, I mean, and we saw it, he got a start in Minneapolis, but then there was that stupid sand section thing that he just went down on, stupid little mistake. But I think if you put him on a track, especially like last night at Indy too, a one-liner like that, he gets out front, he wins, no problem. Now, you know, Anderson, again, has done it, and I think he's another guy, too, that the hard work and dedication is going to catch up to the results here at some point. It might not be this year, it may not be till next year, but I think at some point it's going to. And the only other guy, and this is going to...
oh, my God.
This is going to... The only other guy I could see doing this, and you know who I'm going to say now.
Yep.
Chad Reed.
Dude, it goes back to my pick at the beginning of the year, though.
But that's like 0.0001%. Chad Reed has to be at a track he likes, where he's feeling froggy all day. It has to be a one-liner where you cannot pass anywhere, and he has to hold shot and sprint for the first 2 laps and get a 1 to 2 second gap on Eli or anybody.
Could happen in Vegas.
Could happen.
He's done it before in Vegas before.
Those are my 3 guys with that way out in left field chance of winning one.
Okay, so since you have 3 guys though, narrow it down to 1. Out of those 3, which guy?
Cole Seeley.
Cole Seeley? Okay.
Cole Seeley.
Definitely just because of the fact that he's been the most consistent out of those 3.
Yes.
See, I'm going to pick somebody that I thought, and I just talked about him, that I thought the general consensus would be is Blake Baggett.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah.
The only reason I say this, and it kind of goes back to my point of our Rocky Mountain picks, his inability to sprint early in the main. Say he gets a start, and which he's been getting starts. Say he gets a start, and Tomac and Dunge and Marv, which hasn't happened yet this year other than like 2 races. Say those guys are like 15th, 16th, and 18th off the line, and Baggett gets a start. And I don't care who's in second. I don't care if it's Anderson, Cole, or whatever. And he finally gets into a groove, and he starts sprinting 3-4 seconds. Say he just puts 2 heaters in and pulls 5 seconds. You know by the end of the main that he's not going to fade. You know he's not going to fade by the end of the main. Now, once again, I don't see it happening, but I would have figured you would have picked Baggett just for the fact that he's the only guy that's actually been trending forward out of the group of guys that haven't won yet.
Yeah, but until he shows me he can... I guess he did get on the bye. You know, I'm not going to argue with it. Yeah, no, that's a good pick, too. That it really is. But he just hasn't been there before. No, so until he's been there, it's hard for me to really, like, see it, I guess you'd say. So... So comment below with what you think on those 2 questions, because that would be an interesting discussion topic here. Get your friends to comment.
And I don't think it's going to happen, but...
we like comments.
We do.
So, anywho, anything else you can think of you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
Honestly, man, I think that...
closing comments.
How crazy this season is going. I think that, you know, we talk about it. We talked about the beginning of the year, and I know you got mad at me because we say it. Most stat field ever. If Tomac wins this championship... and we got 5 rounds to go, but it's looking like that's where it's trending towards. Honestly, I've been around this for 25 years, guys. I've been around this since I was born. I've seen all the champions, been there, seen that, whatever. I think if Tomac wins this championship, I can honestly say it's the greatest feat I've ever seen in Supercross.
It's pretty good.
I've never seen anything like that. And like I said, I've seen the McGrath era days, the Jeff Stanton days, the Jean-Michel Bale days, the Stewart, the Carmichael, you know, obviously Vil, that was a couple years ago, you know, all that. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff happen, guys. But I can honestly say I've never seen somebody that had 3 bad races in a row at the beginning of the year, that bad, and the bike looked that far off, and come back from a 29-point deficit. The largest deficit I've ever seen, I think, was 12. And I can't even remember who it was, but it wasn't even 12, it was like 10. And that was with like 8 races to go. I've never seen something crazy like that. I just think that if Tomac wins this, you got to look back in history and start saying, was that the most incredible feat we've ever seen in Supercross? Because I can't think of anything that's even outdoors, nothing as gnarly as that ever happened.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to say the least. So, anywho, thanks for tuning in, guys. Keep an eye on the channel. I will be posting a video about my trip to the Indianapolis Supercross, because I did get quite a bit of filming in yesterday, incognito. I was taking pictures. They might have been moving pictures, but I was taking pictures. So anywho, that'll be up hopefully tonight or first thing tomorrow. And then other than that, thanks for tuning in to the Moto Aftermath show. We'll see you guys. Yeah, we appreciate it. Keep those views coming. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share these up with your friends. Have them share them. You know, the farther we can get this to reach, the better. We're trying to, you know, raise some money here for, we want to get Justin to the races too.
Yeah, no shit.
Because now I'm going 2 weeks in a row without him.
Yeah.
So, anywho, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week after Detroit.